Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing fantastic and that you're all having a great day. For those of you looking for some fun books on finance, there are links in the description below. There's a lot happening, as always, at the exact same time within the cryptocurrency space, especially in like the real world as well. Not sure if everyone's been keeping track of everything, but financially, there's a lot. Sorry, I was sitting up in the chair. There's a lot going on within the space, as we've been talking about for more or less the last month. Everything seems to be happening at the exact same time, and this is what I think is causing a lot of this like energy and buildup within the cryptocurrency market, because at least from my vantage point, you can kind of feel that like something big is happening. Something big is taking place, about to take place. The levels of adoption and accumulation mathematically, it can't go on forever like this. There has to be some kind of like a massive break to the upside. If you didn't see, I posted this about maybe a week and some change ago on Twitter. For those of you not looking at the screen, this is a post from, I think the guy's name is Dr. Profit. We spoke about him before on the channel. He's like a massive analyst within the space. And I don't follow him, but I do like a lot of his posts simply because they have like, what's the word? He talks logically. He's not just like, well, this happened and like on Tuesday, it was some girl's birthday. So like there has to be a movement up on Wednesday, like really weird stuff. If you didn't see it, I mean, the whole takeaway, like the yellow lines you're seeing is I took a screenshot of it and I circled it and I was like, this is what everyone should be paying attention to. In January alone of this year, the ETFs purchased 50,000 Bitcoin. He says that on the over-the-counter market, the OTC market, there's only 140,000 Bitcoin that's actually left. Logically, if we continue to see this amount of accumulation that we've been seeing, I mean, even over the course of the last couple of months, like something so the long and short of it basically being a lot of institutions, if you haven't noticed or known, you know how we keep getting like major news that this company bought like 15,000 Bitcoin, that one bought 7,000 Bitcoin, this one, blah, 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 like that kind of thing. They're buying OTC, and it's a fairly simple, idea of how it's done, but I keep seeing people who say like they don't understand because it's happening on chain, so why isn't the price moving? What happens is that imagine you have whatever. The point is, these transactions are not happening on cryptocurrency exchanges, and it's on cryptocurrency exchanges where the price movements actually happen. So these Coinbase and other crypto exchanges, they have like a coffer, their own amount of crypto that's basically sitting there. When people buy, they sell it to them directly on chain and not actually through the exchange. So we don't see any buy or sell order. Nothing significant happens to the actual market. But we had news, this was years ago, that it was like several million Bitcoin were in the OTC market. And now apparently, according to him, there's around, he said 140,000 left. He's expecting, and this is the part that makes the most sense. Hear me out here. He said this is huge. Sooner or later, when over-the-counter supply dries up, market makers will have only two options. Create some kind of disturbance in the market. Get everyone really as scared as possible to shake weak hands and buy Bitcoin cheaply, or trigger a FOMO rally and buy directly from exchanges. The idea basically is one of two things is going to happen. One of three things. The OTC market's going to run out eventually, just mathematically. I saw people talking about it's not how it works. At some point, like they'll replenish it. And I'm like, you're not understanding exactly how we went from millions to 140,000 in just about 2 years, give or take. The thing that's going to take place is either these people will agree and say, okay, we've exhausted the supply of over-the-counter. We now have to buy directly from cryptocurrency exchanges, and then the price will go up. Got it? The other part is they're going to look and see that the amount of Bitcoin on OTC, because remember, people keep assuming it's just institutions or like 3 institutions who are buying over the counter. No, they're all trying to do so. All the states who are also looking to buy, and all the governments, they're also buying over the counter. They don't want the price of Bitcoin to go up because they want to be able to accumulate it at a much lower price. If everyone had been buying spot, we'd be over several $1 million per coin right now. But you know that the coin is going over several $1 million. So what do? You buy over the counter to make sure that you acquire at the price that you want, as opposed to pushing in billions into the market. The price goes up because you have to fill multiple buy orders. It's not simply, I buy $7 billion worth of Bitcoin and then the price goes up by $1. No, you have to start, like, if you've never traded before, like seen on a crypto exchange, like there's thousands of buy and sell orders. So there's one person who's selling for, he's selling $700 worth of Bitcoin. Another one is selling $14,000. Another one's selling $1,200. If you're buying billions of dollars, you eat up all of those orders and it causes the price to go up. So you do everything that you can to not buy that way. So he's suggesting that at some point there's going to be some kind of like and this is what I think is most likely first, some kind of like a scare you event to make you absolutely terrified of the market, to make you think that something is wrong, because it works really well. What ends up happening is everyone panics. A lot of people sell, people who are new to the market. They get rid of their coins, and then those get gobbled up once again. Because if you've paid attention before, remember how like we've had those like literal like V-shaped recoveries over the course of like an hour or two? If you weren't here, let's say Bitcoin's price is at 100,000. Bitcoin's price drops to 92,000. Everyone's completely terrified. A couple of hours later, and like a one straight line up recovery, Bitcoin goes back to 97,000. It's because those coins were bought up. Like it's an instantaneous recovery. So basically what happens is everyone's about to be terrified and told to leave the market, or there's going to be a rally where they're like, we need more coins. So they start buying directly on cryptocurrency exchanges as well. Like there's so much happening at the exact same time. It's actually, the word's not scary, but it's like intense. Intense is the word that I'm definitely going to actually use there. On top of that, in news that we should have all seen coming, Microstrategy, now called Strategy, and it's like, I don't understand. So I mentally need to say this. Microstrategy rebranded simply to the word strategy, and it doesn't sound nice. It sounds kind of ridiculous. If they had named themselves like Strategy B, because they're only accumulating Bitcoin, or like Bitrategy, maybe just something, or like BTC Strat or something. Strategy sounds ridiculous. It's really like, this is the reason why I say Twitter, because I hate saying the letter X. What are you guys doing? I'm typing on X. What? The website. Oh, okay. Yeah. X. Yeah, of course. It just sounds so like you have all this money and you can't think of a better name. The first thing wait, let's drop micro, because we're not micro anymore. We're now just strategy. Strategy for what? What are you doing? You're just collecting Bitcoin. Business intelligence firm Microstrategy has purchased an additional 7,633 Bitcoin last week for roughly $742 million US, according to an announcement. Yes, for those of you who missed it, I don't know if they were trying to cause buzz or trying to get people to think, I don't know. MicroStrategy announced that they were slowing down their Bitcoin purchases, or that they would be taking a break. And now a week later, they're announcing that they just bought more Bitcoin. So they didn't take a break. And I told you when they announced the break that there wouldn't be a break, because I know them. Like, I don't know them, but I know them. So they before used to announce every couple of months that they were buying more Bitcoin. But recently they've been buying every 2 weeks. And I mean, if you missed it, sometimes they're like, we just bought 21 million. And it's like, okay, like you guys are just going to kind of continue buying forever. So in what is supposed to be shocking news, like, oh my gosh, guys, I can't believe it. Wow, life is so crazy. They purchased another $742 million worth of Bitcoin, taking a lot more once again off the table. This time, the company's average purchasing price was $97,255 As reported by You Today, MicroStrategy ended their 12-week streak of consecutive purchases in early February, ahead of their earnings report. A little thing right there. So and so and so. Last week, the company went through a major rebranding by changing their name and unveiling a new logo that now prominently features a stylized B letter. Just call yourself Strategy B. I mean, if we can be honest, MicroStrategy also sounds terrible. Like that doesn't, I think we're used to saying it, but it sounds ridiculous. The move MicroStrategy, I'm going to make a business and call it Micro Piano, and I'm going to accumulate Litecoin. Like, it's kind of like, what are you talking about? The move was meant to showcase the company's focus on Bitcoin. Fantastic. So cool. This is meant to shock and, oh my, what? But they said they were taking a break. I can't imagine what's happening. So in 6 days, we're going to hear about it again. They've purchased another 15,000 Bitcoin. And then when you're having breakfast one morning, Michael Saylor will go, boo! He's going to be like, look, we purchased another 12,000 Bitcoin. You go, oh, you got me. Again, kind of, because it's what you do every 7 days. So I don't get the idea of pretending. Just keep buying because that's all they're going to be doing. That's the micro. I'm not calling it strategy. I'm calling it MicroStrategy. They know exactly what they did. MicroStrategy news. Yeah. Let's move on. Also in the news, that's a weird photo. What is she smiling at? Is she smiling at the letter B? Is he gasping? Okay. Missouri representative, his name is Ben Keithley, has officially introduced House Bill 1217, which proposes the creation of a Bitcoin strategy reserve fund to diversify the state's investment portfolio. Last we heard was from Utah and Arizona. I've lost track of the numbers because we keep hearing different numbers. It was 11, then it was 13, then it was 17, then it was 22, and then that went to 15. But I think the 15 was like have officially introduced some type of bill or legislation within their state for it. I don't know how many states are doing it right now because it's a rot. Keithley filed HB 1217, proposing the U.S. state of Missouri diversify its portfolio to include BTC as a hedge against fiat currency inflation. If signed into law, the bill will allow, or would allow, the Missouri treasurer to receive, invest, and hold Bitcoin under certain circumstances. And here's the tweet for it right here. Today, I filed HB 1217, which would authorize Missouri to hold and accept Bitcoin for state payments. This will help diversify our state's portfolio while hedging against inflation. Hashtag MOLEG. What? Oh, wait, no. Is it? Wait. Is MO the way that you write Missouri? Like, like the shortened version, like New York is NY? MOLEG does not sound good. That does not. People need to just so you could have written anything else, like even hashtag yay. MOLEG. Okay. Well, cool. There's another state. It's happening apparently, according to Dan Rather. No, wait. Hold on. Oh gosh, what's this guy's name? Mr. Bitcoin. The guy who's always talking about, he's part of the Satoshi Action Fund. I can't think of his name right. Dennis Porter. Nailed it. Dennis Porter is always talking about, like another state. So cool. I have high hopes for all of this. And that sounded sarcastic, but I mean, it's actually, no, I really mean it. Just simply because I feel like they're all going to do it. At this point in time, it doesn't feel like these things aren't going to go through. So I assume by summertime. I said March and April before, because that was the time frame that Dennis Porter gave us. He said sometime around March, we would start seeing the first states within the United States having their bills completely go through, and they would start investing and buying Bitcoin as well. So I guess more of the question mark is, by the end of the year, will we get to all 50 states? Probably not. I feel like a lot of places are going to fall behind. And I'm not going to stick on this topic. It's just more of it's fascinating to see how many people are into Bitcoin. It's incredibly interesting to note how many states and countries and provinces and places are actively talking about buying Bitcoin in some form or capacity, and that other people either are not paying attention, choosing not to pay attention, or like releasing some kind of like, we're never going to buy Bitcoin, like that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, well, listen, no one's forcing you. No one's forcing you to save. No one's forcing you to invest. And no one's forcing you to go to the future or whatever Bitcoin's about to do. But I do find it very weird that there's still like opposition to all of this as well, especially. And I mean, listen, if I was a mayor, a senator, on anything, if I was the head of a state, a country, the moment I heard the momento that I heard that BlackRock got into it, I'd be like, listen, we need to get into this immediately because we cannot be left behind. So cool. That's the Missouri news. I wonder what state we're going to hear from next, because it's literally happening. I want to say like it feels almost like one or two a week. This kind of feels like exactly where we currently are right now. So who knows what's a coming? That's the Ben Keithley Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Fund for Missouri. And yeah, let's move on. So this is, how do I, okay. There are a lot of places on the planet that keep pretending that Bitcoin isn't taking over the world. A couple of years ago, a decade ago, I would have been far more inclined to believe this, as far as like them rejecting it and not liking Bitcoin, if we didn't constantly get news that not only banks, but central banks, there's a gigantic S at the end, have been buying Bitcoin for a number of years. If you missed the news a couple of days ago, we also know that high-ranking, pinky in the air universities are also buying large amounts of Bitcoin as well, and have been doing so since at least 2018. I understand having to lie or say otherwise, because once again, if you are trying to accumulate at a Bitcoin at a certain price, you don't really want to set off any alarm bells. I also think it's a little weird that people even ask these questions. It's kind of like asking a rich person, not how much money do you have in your bank account. I can't. It's kind of like, they're not going to answer truthfully. There's not a chance of you asking said person and they would give you like a proper answer to everything. I think I think there's far more manipulation in markets than people know or even care to realize. And I'm going to show you something, because I know that only people who've been here since I started the channel will remember any of this. I promise you. Like it may be shocking. That's my little warning thing that's going on. This was major news. And I felt like it's one of those things where me and you have to pretend like we actually care, when I could, it's impossible for me to care any less than I currently do. And I'm going to show you exactly why. Poland's central bank apparently refuses to add Bitcoin to its reserves, citing security concerns. The National Bank of Poland's president insists Poland will stick to gold, US dollars, and euros for stability. And I have a light chuckle reading that, because the US dollar and the euro, while more stable than other things, are not doing too hot. It says, meanwhile, countries like Germany The United States and El Salvador are embracing Bitcoin reserves. Backing it up, Germany is not, for those of you who do not know. There was one politician in Germany. I read all the news. One politician in Germany who was like, hey, we should start collecting Bitcoin, and no one really listened to what they were saying. It says countries are exploring adding Bitcoin to their national reserves. Poland is taking a different path. The National Bank of Poland has made its stance crystal clear. Bitcoin has no place in the country's financial strategy. And I can't imagine, like, I understand from the basis and standpoint of wanting to make it crystal clear that people need to be using your national currency because you don't want them to divert or use anything else, or even understand that Bitcoin could be an actual way of investing. But I repeat one more time, it is abundantly clear, unless if I'm missing something, please tell me. It's abundantly clear that Bitcoin is going to $1 million. Can we all agree on that in any sort of way? If you said no, just leave. Just click the little X, because I don't have time to. If you aren't understanding that Bitcoin is going to pass by the valuation of gold and is going to go to over $1 million plus per coin, I don't know what more convincing you actually need. So like I said earlier, I would not be shocked if Poland says this out loud and does something completely different. You want to know why? Because of logic. Remember, the other countries we know and have heard are also buying up tons of Bitcoin. Have you seen any of their leaders standing on a podium telling you that they've also been buying? We know that it's happening for a fact. Like, we know that there are other countries who are buying up tons of Bitcoin right now for their own reserves, but we don't know about it. So it does make a lot of sense. And once again, this isn't tinfoil hat. This is just business. You don't announce on TV that you're going to be buying 15% of New York City. I'm telling you, look it up. There's an entity who bought 15% of all real estate in New York. Look up who owns 15% of London. You don't announce these things. You simply do them over the course of time. And then at some point, people find documents, because if you announce, we as a country or we as a blank are going to be buying 15% of that city, all the other rich families rush in and do the exact same thing. Once again, like I said, not tinfoil hat. I don't think Poland's, maybe they might, behind the scenes, like, yeah, let's buy some Bitcoin secretly. It's just more of a, okay, sure, why not? The president, Adam Gaplinski, isn't mincing words. He believes Bitcoin is far too risky and unstable to be considered a real asset. Going so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Where's the actual thing? Press conference. He said, we will not consider Bitcoin under any circumstances. Reserves must be safe, stable, and permanent, which Bitcoin is not. And I say it this way. I'm excited for the future because, and I say it this way to you, if Bitcoin goes to $14 million and the National Bank of Poland is like required to start buying Bitcoin before they really get left behind, I want everyone to remember, we will not consider Bitcoin under any circumstances. That means if Bitcoin goes to $100 million, we as a bank are not going to buy any. If you were here a number of years ago, and this is how, and I say the words, we know that people are lying. I'm going to tell you two things. For those of you who don't know, do you know that the cryptocurrency market crash collapse of 2017, 2018, like going up and then going down in 2018, you know that was coordinated, right? No, like really. For those of you who missed it, we also, and I should have had the tab here, we got news years ago from the former head of the CFTC, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission within the United States. He said they were told to put forth Bitcoin futures, not ETFs, futures so that institutions could pile into it and short Bitcoin and bet against its price, causing downward pressure on Bitcoin's price for it to go lower. And do you know what happened? I believe it was December 2017. The Bitcoin futures got approved. And by January, our prices were already collapsing because of the amount of downward pressure from institutions who then also began to buy Bitcoin when it was at $3,000. It was coordinated. Like we know, you can find the article. I've had it in multiple videos, but you can find it yourself. Former CFTC Bitcoin futures crash. You can find it. Do you remember what else happened? Because I remember. We had around seven different countries who were talking about banning Bitcoin, restricting Bitcoin, who began to write articles that Bitcoin was terrible and horrible and Bitcoin was used by criminals. That's when I actually believe that countries began buying. We know that a lot of institutions and rich people were buying since 2014, but I think it was a realization to them that 2 years before, Bitcoin was at $200 and then rose to $20,000. And I think it was kind of this thing where they were like, a couple of things. Not only did they have to start accumulating themselves, but they also realized that Bitcoin could actually get rid of their current financial system. So I think two things took place where they had to crash the price of Bitcoin. For those of you who don't know, the head of the previous head of the CFTC said it was done because there was fear that Bitcoin was going to go to $30,000 and then to $40,000 in 2017. Do you understand? We were supposed to go a lot higher. It was coordinated that we would crash down. It was literally coordinated. Do you remember the other part? And it has to do with Poland. Does anyone remember? Really, I'm asking. Because it was such a major thing. And I remember going over the news in the beginning, the first half of 2018 was so weird. Because out of nowhere, everything was negative. And at the end of 2017, it was glorious. I mean, really, it was such a fun, happy time because this experiment called Bitcoin was doing exceedingly well as we saw all these banks like crashing and collapsing in 2016 and 2017. A number of countries had begun to put forth, we're going to be banning Bitcoin. Bitcoin's only for criminals. We know that there's a lot of illegal trade happening and it's with Bitcoin. And I was like, where's this all coming from? For those of you who do not remember, and for those of you who are not looking at the screen, this is an article from the 22nd of February, 2018. There were a lot by November, December 2017, the amount of YouTube channels that began were crazy. And a good majority of them were just spreading negative news. Remember when I told you there were all these people who were making videos and they were like, Bitcoin's going back down to 1,000. This is as Bitcoin's at 7, 8, 9,000. Bitcoin's going back down. Bitcoin's going to crash. They were only giving and promoting negative news. For those of you not looking at the screen, 22nd February 2018, it says the Polish central bank paid YouTube stars to make a video about a cryptocurrency crash. The Polish central bank paid YouTubers to make videos that Bitcoin was terrible, that they lost money, and the market was going to crash. I repeat that one more time. The Central Bank of Poland, who just said no to Bitcoin, that not under any circumstances will they be accumulating Bitcoin, in 2018 paid YouTubers to tell people that crypto was garbage and that Bitcoin was going to crash. Did everyone understand when I said manipulation? And when I said this isn't tinfoil hat? This actually happened. And this was happening across the board. This was even multiple, like people were sharing all these things and they were like, well, this big YouTuber said it's going down. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And this is just what we found out from a few YouTubers in Poland. I think this was happening everywhere. Remember when I said that at the end of 2017, the only reason why we got Bitcoin futures was to crash the market. Poland's central bank paid a YouTube star to make a video about a cryptocurrency crash in order to warn others about the dangers of investing in digital coins. The National Bank of Poland paid someone $26,000. This person's name was Gamelon, a YouTube partner, well known for yada, yada, yada. The central bank is not opposed, they said, to the development of blockchain technology. Well, it sounds like you are. How many other countries did this? How many other countries paid YouTubers to drop the price of our market? The Central Bank of Poland has admitted. The Central Bank of Poland has admitted to funding anti-cryptocurrency campaigns on social media. The YouTuber said in a video, "I lost all the money." When I tell you manipulation, it's not just Larry Fink telling people to trade for him. When I tell you like there's real manipulation happening, it's this. How many other governments did the exact same thing? How many of them have been lying for a number of years? Remember when I told you BlackRock doesn't just like sit there and like invest. They, what's the word? They advise governments and countries and central banks as to what they should do next. If you get a chance, look up BlackRock's Aladdin. It's their algorithm that they've had since the 80s. You know who listens? So like the algorithm literally tells you what to do with your money. You know what the algorithm said to do in 2020? To start buying real estate. That's why all these institutions are now, you know, like what do you call it? All these institutions and companies are buying up all the real estate. It's because of an algorithm. It's not a joke. People pay big money every month to have access to BlackRock's Aladdin. BlackRock has been in Bitcoin since 2018. Did you hear that? Did you hear the year? 2018, after the market dropped. I think it was a test for everyone. I think governments were waiting to see if Bitcoin could do it. It did it. And then they made sure to drop the price so that they could accumulate. You mean to tell me the Central Bank of Poland paid money to multiple YouTubers and told them to crash the price of Bitcoin? Do you think they were doing that for fun? Or do you think they were doing that so that they could also accumulate? It's literally written right there. Yeah, this was major news. A lot of people were a little annoyed. Why another central bank not buying? And it's like, no, I'm pretty sure they're buying. I'm pretty sure they've been buying for a while. Isn't it no? Listen, this is actually crazy. Do you understand how many other countries did this? How many, like the fear mongering at the beginning of 2018 was horrendous. It made no sense because everything else was good. Everything else was peachy. And then all of a sudden things became really negative and everyone was like, oh, it's bad. It's awful. Oh gosh, it's so scary. Yeah. So I believe the exact opposite. I would assume the Central Bank of Poland has at least 100, 500 Bitcoin. I'm not expecting a large amount. I'm not expecting some kind of like they scooped up 1 million Bitcoin. But if we've seen that other central banks around the world have been buying and BlackRock is in this space as well, you're either delusional or you're lying. Delusional in the fact that you see BlackRock and Vanguard. Oh, in case you missed it a couple of weeks ago, BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street, three companies, own 88% of the US stock market. 3 companies. You think these people got into Bitcoin and the head of the Polish central bank went, that's good for them? No. It's so crazy. This is what manipulation looks like. This is literally it. This is exactly how it works. You make sure that people, normal people, everyday people, poor people, people who go to work, that they say no to it as well. I don't want to get into Bitcoin. That's what the central bank said. Remember when we heard a couple of years ago, there was this guy on a podcast. He was from, I want to say Nigeria. He said he got into Bitcoin and he was telling other people about it, like financial freedom. And he said some of his friends stopped talking to him. He was like, I didn't understand why. So one day he stopped someone and he said, why? Why won't you talk to me? They said, because it's illegal. You're doing something illegal. And he was like, what? They said, the government said it's illegal and you're doing crazy things and I don't want to be involved in it. So he went and he researched. The central bank said they wish that Bitcoin was illegal and that they would make it illegal if they could. Every news operation, every single press thing reported Bitcoin illegal. They left out all the other parts of it. So everyone thought it was something for criminals. How many of you think that country's central bank was also accumulating Bitcoin? It's manipulation and it's greed at its craziest point, because you literally figure out that they don't care about you. They don't care about normal people. How many times have I said, if Bitcoin goes to 1 million, if Bitcoin goes to 14 million, if Bitcoin goes to 23 million US dollars per coin, and everyone has 1/100th, a tenth of a coin, how many people become rich? How many people are no longer reliant on having a job, on having to rely on the government? How many more people are better off? So what's the opposite? You lie to them. You tell, you make sure you pay people and tell them over and over and over, keep spreading this negativity about Bitcoin and crypto. We don't want normal people to actually be in the market, so that when all the governments and all the rich people own all of it, you guys don't have any, but it was there. I mean, JP Morgan Chase and every other bank only told you for multiple years. I mean, Warren Buffett said the same exact thing. He's been saying that Bitcoin, you guys didn't buy? Oh, well, good luck next time when the next brand new asset gets listed and launched. Good luck, guys. It happens every single time that there's a drop in the prices, retail gets flushed out, it's bought up by whales. Every time that we get news, that Microstrategy is buying 7,000 Bitcoin, 14,000 Bitcoin, 51,000 Bitcoin. That's Bitcoin that belongs in the hands of the masses, not a company. The manipulation is wild. It's really like, this is far crazier than I could have ever actually imagined. But alas, here we are. I do hope sincerely that you have all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.